Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming along. As you can probably see, tonight we are going to be talking about all things Christmas, the festive season, and how to navigate this time and still reach your goals. Because quite often people can feel a bit apprehensive and a bit stressed. If there's lots of parties and there's lots of different food and you're eating different things over this period, but we're going to help you navigate that tonight. If I can move the slide, there we go. So what we're touching on tonight is finding a balance in your diet. So moving away from dieting and then also looking at the different pillars of health and what health means to you as well. Then we'll be touching on Christmas parties and sort of alcohol and the foods that are commonly at those parties as well, and how to navigate that. And then taking a bit of a step back and looking at the bigger picture and looking at, your overall diet and health and your intake over an extended period of time, and touching on those long-term habits as well that we always like to talk about here at Kinetic. So first up, what does it mean to be healthy? So health isn't just nutrition or diet or exercise. So obviously there's a healthy body, healthy mind, and then a healthy life as well. So a healthy body, obviously that's kind of where your nutrition and diet and exercise comes in. So in terms of nutrition, that's having a balanced diet. So meaning, you eat your fruit and veggies and you kind of eat for health most of the time, but then you also eat for enjoyment when you want to and when you feel like your body needs that as well. Exercise is kind of just whatever works for you. Obviously, if you're here, most of you are training, well, all of you are training at Kinetic, but there's different styles of training there as well. So whether you prefer doing, your heavy weight lifting, if you feel like some days you just need to stretch or go for a walk, or you're into running or cycling, whatever that may be, the exercise to create a healthy body has to be something that works for you and something that you enjoy. Then a healthy mind. So looking at resting and relaxing. So taking time out of what can sometimes be somewhat stressful life, managing stress, whatever that means for you, whether it's stepping away from social media, taking a break from work, whatever you need to do to kind of relax and unwind. And then sleep as well is important too. So that's good quality sleep, whether you have a sleep routine, which can obviously be difficult at times, especially if you have kids or you've got work deadlines, but trying to step away from screens, an hour or so before bed and read a book and kind of put yourself in that restful state so that you can get a good night's sleep. And then that third one, a healthy life. So things that we've missed out on a bit over the last couple of years, but social connection. So whether that is going out with friends, seeing your family, that's obviously super important for your overall health. And I think tying nutrition back into that, I would argue that going out for a burger with your mates at the pub or wherever it may be is actually healthier and better for you than restricting and dieting and saying no to those events because you're scared of the food that might be there, or there's not something there that fits within your diet that you can eat. And that last one there is fulfillment as well. So finding time and finding things, making time for hobbies and things that you enjoy, and obviously enjoying your work and all those kinds of things as well. So that's a bit of an overview of health. Now, touching on diet and a balanced diet. So when it comes to your food and nutrition and your choices that you make, it's really about both quantity and context as well. So I talk about it all the time, and, you know, eating your fruit and veggies and all those kinds of things. So, you know, I think we all know you should be eating more veggies over the course of the day than you would be eating chocolate or something like that. And a lot of you have probably heard me, you know, recommend multigrain bread over a white bread, or recommend having an apple or a whole piece of fruit over, say, apple juice. But it's all about context and your goals and what is going to work for you. So if you wanted to gain weight, or if you needed energy before your workout or during a workout, I would be recommending your white bread and your fruit juice and your lollies and those kind of more energy dense foods. So yeah, there's definitely a time and a place for all foods, and that's why I always say with nutrition, all foods can fit. So you know, if you have kind of food rules, I'd be suggesting that you keep those foods that you've deemed kind of off limits, just keep them in your house, and that way you become a bit desensitized to them, and they're just kind of in the cupboard. You can have them when you want them, but they're not kind of a treat food. They're not, you know, hidden away. They're not naughty. They're just there, and if you want them, you can have them, and that way that novelty kind of wears off as well. So yeah, I guess overall, yeah, healthy balanced diet, we're aiming for 2 serves of fruit a day, 5 serves of veg, some quality protein with each meal. So whether that's meat, fish, egg, a vegetarian protein like your tofu or something. Then we also want to be including healthy fats, so like your unsaturated omega-3 healthy fats, to help support your skin and your joints and all those kind of things too. High fiber carbohydrates, so give you energy. We all know carbs give you energy, and then that high fiber helps to support your gut health and your bowels as well. And then your balanced diet, of course, has to include your favorite foods that you just purely eat for enjoyment as well. So those kind of first five dot points are what you would eat, you know, to support your health. And then you have your extra foods as well that you just eat because you love them. So if you can take this mindset and this approach to eating and apply it at all times throughout the year, then Christmas and the festive season shouldn't really be a big deal or something scary. It should just be another occasion that just fits into your healthy, balanced diet and your lifestyle as well. So moving now to Christmas parties, and starting off with alcohol. So there's no denying that we all love a drink, especially, you know, the Australian culture, usually a lot of alcohol consumed on social occasions. So the guidelines or the recommendations around alcohol and drinking alcohol is no more than 10 standard drinks a week and no more than 4 standard drinks at one time or in one sitting. So yeah, there's really no reason why you can't just enjoy a few alcoholic drinks at your Christmas party or wherever you might be. Now, I'm not stupid. I realize for a lot of you, you know, this advice might be ignored, but I'm going to tell you anyway, that it can be a good idea just to mix both your alcoholic and your non-alcoholic drinks as well. So, you know, have a wine, have a beer, and then maybe you just have a soda water or something, you know, one drink, one water, like your mum probably used to tell you. But it can be a good idea, even if you do it for no other reason than just to make your hangover the next day a bit better. The other thing to think about too when it comes to alcohol is choosing those lower energy alcoholic drinks. So your cocktails and your kind of spirits that are mixed with lemonade or whatever, obviously have alcohol, but then they're also quite high in sugar as well. So, you know, maybe you just have 1 or 2 cocktails to start the night and then move on to something else. or opting for your spirits, like your gin and tonic with a sugar-free tonic, or a vodka and lemonade with a sugar-free lemonade or a sugar-free mixer. And there's also a huge range now of lower carb beers and cider, and then there's of course light alcohol options too. The other thing as well is it's okay if you actually just don't want to drink. If you're at a Christmas party and you don't want to drink, it's totally fine. Just have a lime and soda. Otherwise, most venues and places will have alcohol-free alcohol these days too. So your wine, beers, and spirits, a lot of them come in alcohol-free varieties too. So you can sort of still look like you're drinking, but you're not actually. And I guess another point as well is just if you do have a big night, if you have 10 standard drinks at a time, just wake up the next day, have a glass of water, have your meal, whatever your meal is that cures your hangover. Everyone has one, and then just move on. You had fun. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just take it for what it was. It was fun. You had a good time. You had a few drinks, and now you can just move on. Have your burger or your Macca's or whatever for breakfast, and then have some veggies with your dinner, and just look at it like that. The other thing at Christmas parties is the food. So it's often a lot of platters and sort of finger food and food served in that way. So with a platter, it's very easy to eat far more than you usually would, just because you're kind of picking at the food, you're snacking on finger food, you're kind of just constantly grazing because the cheese board is just sitting there in front of you, and why not? So I think it's important to still just check in and be aware of your hunger, and if you're actually feeling hungry. And I don't know if I've mentioned it to all of you, but sort of thinking about that hunger fullness scale, and are you actually hungry? Where are you sitting on that scale? So just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind and be aware of if you're going back for your 20th cheese and cracker. Are you actually hungry? One handy strategy is just to fill up a plate. So instead of just grazing mindlessly, fill a plate with a selection of foods from the table, so you can see what you're eating. You'll end up eating a bit more mindfully, and you'll feel like you've actually had a proper meal, and you will actually kind of fill up because you'll be able to see all the food that you're eating there in front of you. The other thing is have a meal if the option's there. If wherever you are is serving dinner or a more substantial meal, it's a good idea to have something that will kind of fill you up and keep you feeling full throughout the night. And the other thing is just to try and include some fruit and veg. So usually your platters, they all have grapes or strawberries or some carrot sticks or something. So obviously have all the delicious, yummy stuff, but then also just grab a little bunch of grapes or a handful of tomatoes or something, and just put some on your plate. So if nothing else, you just get a bit of extra fiber, you get some nutrients, and then your cheese and whatever else is on offer as well. Touching now on skipping meals. So a lot of the time it's tempting, if you're going out at night and there's going to be lots of food, it's tempting to skip breakfast or skip lunch in preparation to eat more than usual at that event or that evening. But skipping meals is more likely than to lead you to overeat wherever you are. So you'll just have that kind of insatiable hunger where you can't fill up because your body has gone without food for however long, a day or a number of hours, and you just kind of eat more and more because your stomach just isn't getting those signals to your brain that it's actually full. So by skipping a meal during the day, you might think that that kind of, you know, balances out your intake over the course of the whole day, but it's quite likely that you'll actually end up eating more, and you might be eating double or triple at the event than what you would have eaten if you also just had lunch and then, you know, just filled up your plate while you're at the party and just had a plate of food as well. So you kind of end up doing the opposite to what you were trying to achieve by skipping that meal. So yes, there's that. And then also, don't feel like you need to skip a meal the following day if you ate more than usual the day before. That's fine. You ate more than usual, you enjoyed it, you had some good food, you had fun. Just wake up in the morning, have your normal breakfast, and just move on with your day. And then, yeah, as I touched on there, so skipping meals is more likely to lead to that overeating or eating more than you otherwise would have as well. So just looking now at kind of that bigger picture, so taking a step back and I guess stepping away from food for a second as well. So I guess when these occasions, Christmas or birthdays or anything, come up, you really don't want to look back at these years with regret. So, you know, you don't want to look back and realize that you missed out enjoying time with your family, or you missed out on, you know, a Christmas tradition that you always used to do, because you were worried about food and you were worried about, you know, gaining a couple of kilos or something, instead of just focusing on socializing and being around your family and things like that as well. I think, yeah, these last 2 years have kept us apart long enough, so it's time to just be with your family, be with your friends, just relax and enjoy being in the company of others. Because I don't think anyone has ever said, like, oh, thank God of Christmas pudding or my favorite dessert, because I was trying to lose a couple of kilos. You know, I don't think you're ever going to regret having your favorite food. So, you know, just giving you permission to go for it. And another, I guess, perspective you can take as well is just to consider your meals over the whole day, month, year, whatever it may be. So, for example, over the course of a day, you might eat, say, 3 to 6 times, depending on how many meals and snacks you have. So then one meal is only a third or a quarter of your daily intake. So if you're having one meal that's out of the ordinary for you, it's kind of only a quarter of what you ate for the day anyway, so it's not really a big deal. And then if you blow that out again, say over the course of a week, you have 2 Christmas parties, that's 7% of your intake for that week. Or again, look at it over a whole month. If you have 112 meals over the month and you have 10 Christmas parties, that's 9% of your meals, slightly different to what you would usually be eating if you were just at home. And I think if we're kind of working off that 80%, you know, eating for nutrition and then 20% eating for enjoyment, that fits well within that as well. You know, it's not even 10% of your whole month of eating. So I think what I'm pretty much trying to say is just don't stress about it. Don't stress about a couple of meals that are out of the ordinary for you, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not really a big deal. Touching now on long-term habits and your habits. So your habits are kind of at the center of your success. So we obviously are always focusing on goals and habits at Kinetic, but I think they're especially important around kind of not only Christmas time, but just any sort of period where life is a bit different to usual. You know, having these good habits in place mean that if your motivation drops off when life gets busy, but you've got the solid habit of, say, going for a walk every morning, or going to the gym 3 times a week, or drinking your 2 liters of water. If you've got these things set in stone, they're a habit that you don't even think about anymore, you just do it, kind of becomes second. If the routine or if life around you changes, those habits are still always there. So maybe something, you know, you're not at work, so you don't have that usual work routine, but there's no reason why you can't wake up in the morning and still go for a walk. Or there's no reason why you can't cook yourself a dinner and still include a big plate of veggies as well. So that's where habits are important, is when things around you or your motivations change, you've always got them to fall back on. So I think this is also where that idea or that goal that people strive for of having that healthy lifestyle comes into play. So even if you're busy, these habits are still ingrained and they're still going to be a priority for you as well. You know, you don't have to eat perfectly all the time. There's no such thing as a perfect diet. And some days, you know, maybe you're exhausted and you skip the gym and you just listen to your body, and that's fine. But then ultimately, you're always going to come back to those habits and come back to what you know makes you feel good. So you might skip the gym one day, but you're there the next. Or you have fish and chips for dinner one night, but the next night you're having your, I don't know, you know, stir fry or your bolognese with lots of veggies in there as well. So I think motivation can come and go, and obviously seasons and situations around you change, but those habits will stick around for you long term, and they're the things that you can rely on, and they're the things that we've worked with you to build throughout the year, so that when things change or Christmas comes along, you're still motivated, and it's just second nature now to make those healthy meals and keep up your exercise, even if the gym's closed or things are a bit different. So just to wrap things up, my key messages here are: you don't need to just survive Christmas or survive the festive season. You should really enjoy it and allow yourself to enjoy it. So just take a break, take time out, be with your family and friends, make memories, you know, especially Sam and Catherine, you've got a little baby, his first Christmas, that's really exciting. So just spend time with family, and remember, yeah, health is just as much social and emotional as it is physical. So maybe you've focused on your physical health for the last few months, and now it's time to shift that focus to your social and emotional health for this month or whatever it may be. The other thing is to look at your diet as a whole. So think about things in terms of, you know, all the meals you've eaten over the whole month or whatever it may be. And then, yes, remember that you've always got those habits to fall back on as well, even when things around you start changing. Oh, that's all. I didn't even put in a thank you slide. Sorry, but thanks everyone for coming along. Now is the time. If you have any questions, feel free to yell out, write them in the chat. If you don't want to say them in front of everyone, send me an email, whatever works.